Welcome back to another episode of our podcast. We're calling it In the Box. We got some fine people, Brother Elliot. To talk to us.
Absolutely.
I'm Officer Skinner, Chesterfield County Police.
And I'm Elliot Anderson, one of the recruiters for Chesterfield County Police Department.
We're going to be talking to some of our young ladies that are on the police department that's been here for a few years, got some promotions and some areas of expertise that they are in. And I want to get them to introduce themselves. Lieutenant, you want to start?
Sure. I'm Lieutenant Kylene Peranto. I'm assigned to the Personnel Division.
Okay. Cindy?
I'm Corporal Cindy Chambers. I am actually assigned to the Support Division. I am a school resource officer at one of our middle schools in Chesterfield County.
Awesome. Jen?
I am Corporal Detective Jennifer Samuels. I work in crimes against property.
Okay, so where we are, we had a podcast earlier with some young ladies that were going over, and I think the average years they were here maybe about 3 years.
About 3 years.
So now we want to go to some folks that's been here for, I guess, let's say 10 years and above. How about that? Is that fair?
A veteran officer.
A veteran officer.
Probably an average of about 25 years between them.
Mm-hmm.
If you combine all three of them and divide them up, it's been about 25 years of service, which is significant, really good.
It is significant. So let's start with you, Lieutenant. What made you get in? Well, let's start by this. Tell me your history. Where you from, your education, and...
So I am from Pennsylvania. So I am from up north. And I went to Shippensburg University for my undergrad degree, bachelor's degree in criminal justice. Graduated college in December 2001 and started the academy here January 2002. So right out of college, and I, in 2005, I went to University of Richmond to get my master's degree, and I needed a challenge and wanted something to do on top of working full time. Just recently, I am enrolled in Liberty University to get my PhD.
Oh, wow.
In psychology. So I'm pretty excited about
That's
that.
great.
I
That's
start
awesome.
next month.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yes.
So you love learning.
I love learning.
Good.
And I've been here 19 years.
Okay, good. Cindy?
We're gracious. I am also from up north. I think all three of us are
Yes,
up north,
we are.
actually. Originally from a place called Littleton, Massachusetts. Graduated from high school up there, went to college up there, got an associate's degree. I had a cousin that was actually in the fire department down here for Chesterfield Fire. He is retired now. He retired battalion chief, and he told me of the wonderful opportunities down here, and he wasn't lying. So back in 1990, I got hired in the fall of 90. I just turned 21, came on down here, and I've been here ever since. I, like Kylene, kind of like the education thing, went back to college when I was 32, only to find out I was pregnant with my son, and graduated from college when he was 2, with my bachelor's in actually human resources.
Awesome.
So,
And was that through the University of Richmond as
it
well?
was through the University of Richmond as well.
Okay.
Wow.
That's great. Jen?
Okay, I'm also from North. I am from Fishkill, New York. I graduated, I went to community college up there and decided that I wanted to go somewhere warmer to finish my degree. So I went to Wilmington, North Carolina, to the University of Wilmington, and received my criminal justice degree there. And actually, there was a career fair there, and Chesterfield was there, and I thought, well, let me just try out for this and see how this goes. So I came up here, took the physical test, took the written test all in the same day, and that was it. And that was I started the academy July of 1998.
Wow. We're gonna talk about that luggage that you brought with you.
Oh.
Okay, yay.
That is so wrong.
We'll talk about that. But no, and the one thing that we talk about in the box is what made you become police officers. I know it's easy to say I'm a criminal justice major. I got my master's. I'm working on this and working on that. But what is it that made you let your parents know that I made this decision to be part of a community and be in law enforcement?
Yeah. I will answer that From my perspective, I've always wanted to be a police officer. My parents, my friends, everybody knew it when I was in elementary school. So my parents weren't surprised by it. Nobody, I think they just knew that's what I was going to do. So me going to college for it wasn't a surprise. But being from up north, it's pretty difficult to get a law enforcement job up north. So just, in my research, finding Chesterfield, and of course I had applied to other agencies, but Chesterfield just aligned with my values and my morals, just everything. Chesterfield was just great.
That's good.
But I'm a first generation police officer, so nobody was surprised by it. My entire life I've always wanted to. So my parents had a long time to prepare for that. So yeah.
Yep. Jen?
I will say I had a professor, he was a judge in community college up in New York, and he just talked about all the fun times, like, and the stories that these troopers would come up with in court. And I was like, that sounds like fun. I don't want to sit behind a desk and be a secretary, so I'm going to go do that. I had no idea I was going to do this until my sophomore year in college.
That you was going to get into law enforcement, even though you were a criminal justice major at that time?
Well, I wasn't a criminal justice major yet.
Okay.
I just went in because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay, good.
I was the first one to go to college in my family, so I felt like, okay, well, I got to pick something here. So it was crazy, but it all worked out.
Awesome.
And how did your family take it that you would want to go into law enforcement?
My mother was not happy with this idea
Right.
at all. My dad was like, go have fun, do your thing, just, be yourself.
But she's come around since that time.
She's come around. She's just always worried that something would happen.
Right.
But,
I think that's being a mom.
And I think that's any mom.
Yeah.
Right, I agree. Yeah.
That's any parent. Exactly. Cindy?
Right.
My father actually, he was not law enforcement. He was the equivalent to what a magistrate is down here.
Okay.
He would actually go out to the different towns, the way Massachusetts was set up. It's also a Commonwealth state. And we used to ride with him.
Okay.
They'd call up, hey, we got one in lockup for you, come on. My father would do the paperwork for the courts. So about middle school, like Kylene, early on, it's all of a sudden, I wanted to do this or I wanted to be a flight attendant.
Okay.
And I don't like riding on airplanes, so I wanted to travel, but I didn't want to ride on an airplane. So this is something I want to say it was in my blood. I always saw law enforcement the positive side because the officers that were helping, they would come for meals at the house and just was always exposed to the positive, the whole public service part of it. So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think a big part of policing that people don't realize is not just the individual officer, but we all have families that are invested in this. And so, on average, you all have been here 25 years. What has changed from the 25 years you've been here to now with your family support? You're married, you have children. Have you had any other family members go into law enforcement, or what's the family support like now?
I actually, now I have a nephew that's going through our academy right now.
Oh, wow.
His family, his father and his brother are both firefighters, and he's decided that he wants to take the police route. So I'm really proud of that. My children, and I'm gonna take a little different spin. Okay. My daughter, growing up in high school and in middle school, everybody knew I was a police officer.
Oh, yeah.
My son is 6 years younger than her, and my son growing up in middle school and in high school, nobody knew I was a police officer. My son's more private than my daughter is. My daughter's kind of out in your face. I don't know where she gets that from. But just the difference on the perspective of police work. My son was a little more private, and me being a school resource officer, he was in high school, and the school he was at opened up, and I'm like, hey, can I go there? And my son's like, He goes, I guess you can. And my daughter goes, I would have been just fine with it. And I'm like, well, your brother's not. So just a little bit different. And I don't know if that's male-female or if that's kind of the times where you just kind of want to be a little more private.
Right. You all have anything?
Sure. I think for me, talking about family support, Obviously, I've been here 19 years, and we've all been here, almost 2 decades. For me, starting out single, getting married, I have 3 kids, 10-year-old twins and a 5-year-old. Very supportive husband. He's a Marine. He understands public service. And, when I get a call, I have to go, or, I've been in investigations and, been in patrol. And so he understands the call of duty, per se. But, we don't have any family here, extended family. So, when there's a need, obviously I have to fall on either my friends, church friends, whatever. But, my kids, that's all they know,
Right.
their entire life. So, my husband's just super supportive, and, the department understands my family and, the needs of my family, obviously. But, I have great support that I'm surrounded by.
Jen?
Well, I am like Kylie too. I don't have any family here whatsoever. But my husband, who's a lieutenant here, he's the greatest supporter.
Is that luggage?
That's my
Oh
luggage that I
my
brought
God.
with me from North Carolina. And we have 2 kids, a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. But with friends, we've got really good friends here that are just they're more like family than friends. And without, their support, there's no way you could do this job without that.
And that's what we would tell young people in recruiting, that once you, leave whatever area you're coming from, and it can be local, you still going
Right.
to have that extended family. Because we have, again, the one thing that I tell students we are a family that wants to support the community, because we live in that community. And we have kids that are doing activities in that community. My church is in that community. So we are invested in that community. In talking to the young ladies prior to you all, we talked about our families and how our families have come aboard and supporting us. We talked about the extended family. But let's talk about our history. Let's talk about where you've been, and were there some obstacles that you had to go through in being a lieutenant, starting at the academy? Were you treated fairly in the academy with the yelling at you, running, or you can't do this because times have changed. When we're going to go back 19 years into today's environment, is that fair to talk about?
Yes. Yeah, what were your experiences, and what have you seen changed today for the better?
And whoever wants
Cindy, I think you should go first, since you've been here a little
And
longer.
you're in training, and you're in
Well,
training now.
I'm in training right now.
Yeah, you're in training right now.
Yeah, let's see, 30 years ago.
Cindy, should we tell the story that I can remember you training me how to shoot the shotgun while you were
Well, I was
Yeah,
pregnant.
pregnant on the
Well,
firing
yeah.
line with your
Yeah.
big belly?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think I
you're-
trained both of you in fire.
In
Yes.
firearms, yeah.
You did.
It's been a long time, because I've been a firearms instructor for about 20 years now. Training 30 years ago, I think they kind of still didn't know what to do with women. I actually had 4 women that started my police academy, and I had 3 that graduated with me. One moved on to the fire department. The other one has since retired. But it's my group of people. I had probably 2 that really weren't keen on women in law enforcement, and one of them was really vocal, and I told him I just wasn't keen on him being a police officer. So we settled that one out
just
really
kept
quick.
it moving.
Yep, we settled that one out really quick. He didn't think I was worthy. I didn't think he was worthy. So we both proved each other wrong on that. But as far as our academy mates, they were great, really supportive, and I would always the male officer that I would pair up with and do defensive tactics with. I remember I remember injuring him in part of training, because the training officer kept saying, "What are you going to do next? What are you going to do?" and kept pushing to the limit where he ended up with a minor injury. And I don't know that that's what we want to do now, but that was kind of, hey, I'm like, okay, let's prove it. Let's keep
proving
going.
myself
Let's
here.
do this.
Exactly.
And that's, for a long time, that's how I felt, was having to prove
That you belong.
That stopped.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
stopped.
Good for you.
Somewhere
Good for
along
you.
I am what I am. I'm female, and I'm very effective in my job. So.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Jen, anything you want to add to that?
I would say, like, I, started out in UOB, and then moved to SID and worked in, covert unit, and then went to crimes against property, where I felt like every time as a female, every time I moved somewhere, I had to prove myself. I had to prove that I could do this job. Then I had to prove I could do this job. Then I had to prove that I could have kids and do this job.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest one to get through to people. That I can still do this job, even though I have a 2-year-old at home. So,
Wow.
yeah.
I think sometimes, though, I will say a lot of mine is kind of
Self-induced? Is it?
mine is self-induced for
Add
sure.
Pressure on yourself to belong
That
or to be accepted.
that I am going to do a good
Right,
job, that I
okay.
can do a good job. There's no doubt they know I can. I put the pressure on myself to always want to achieve and do well. I think that's instilled in a lot of us just from the academy and maybe just the way I was raised. I don't know. But a lot of it is self-induced, kind of in a competition with myself to want to do well and to prove that I can do it. I've never felt like or given the impression that I couldn't.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
from my training. I was just always glad to do it, just to show that I could. But I never felt that way. And like Jen, I've been in UOB, CID, and property. Jen and I were actually partners. I was your partner.
Yes, you were.
Skinner?
You taught me a lot.
And was on negotiations for 10 years and polygraph examiner as well. So, and as far as promotion, I mean, it's really you work hard and, you do a good job and you put yourself out there. I think anyone can do it. Really, it's just putting yourself out there and being confident and hardworking. You can do it.
So it sounds like each of you had an opportunity to move around the department and advance to different specialized areas, whether it be Special Investigations Division like Jen or training in firearms for Cindy, because I know when I first got here, we didn't have a lot of female trainers and we did not have a lot of female firearms trainers. I don't know if we have a lot of female firearms trainers now.
We have
It's so
3 currently,
specialized.
and there's only been 4 ever.
Wow.
Ever, right.
So-
I know we've made some strides. We've had 2 women on our SWAT team now, which is not an easy feat for anyone to get on to our SWAT team, as well as negotiations team leaders and things like that. Do you all network together outside of work? I know in the years past there have been some social events that you get together and you're in a space with just women to socialize and network with each other, which I think is
And
great.
I'll say we were probably better when we were a little bit smaller. I think
Yeah.
things have gotten away. We used to have Halloween parties and Easter egg hunts, and the women and their kids, we'd all show up and we'd do Easter egg hunts, and the kids would be there. We do that as a department now. We do Easter egg hunts and Santa, but we used to do as a women's group. We'd get together. Several years we had women in policing. Myself and 2 other retired female officers coordinated that, and that seemed to help. Just we're unique because we're women. We're just as effective as men, and we bring both men and women bring really different skill sets to the table.
Yes.
Both of them very valuable, and I love Daryl, but Daryl and I don't have the same issues at
Right,
times.
right.
At times, I don't know. We could have the same issues.
We
but-
have the same issues,
yeah.
but at different times.
We use
Yeah.
different bathrooms.
Right, there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
So with new women coming into policing, or anyone coming into policing, what recommendations do you have for them to be successful? How to prepare for the academy?
Yeah.
We've established on the podcast that our academy is physically and psychologically stressful.
Yes.
How would you recommend that they prepare for that?
Especially with today's generation.
Run a lot. Run a lot.
We run a lot.
I
That's
know
what we
when
heard earlier.
when I came here, I had no idea that it was going to be that type of like physical activity right away until I was doing push-ups in formation. with a skirt on. And I was
Yep.
like, what is going
First
on?
day.
What did I sign up for? It was,
First day.
I can
could not
remember now
believe that.
Captain Stark yelling in my face. I was like, what is this? Like, I know I've wanted to do this my entire life, but why is he right in my face yelling at me? And yes, doing sit-ups, and yeah, it was crazy. But I would say yes, physically,
Physically
I can
prepared.
remember, where I lived at the time, running around a high school track, just trying to get myself conditioned. And but mentally, just, if this is what you want to do, you have to be prepared that, they're here to train you and support you. They know what they're doing. So just do what they ask, and it'll all fall together. Really, at the end, it'll all make sense. You're just going to have to trust the process.
Yes.
And fall on your other academy mates for advice or help, because there could be someone who's been in the military or understands the process a little bit. But definitely don't give up. If you give up, you're never really going to know. But that's
Determination.
hard work, yeah.
You really have to have that, because at the weak moments, if you don't have the determination and motivation within yourself, you'll let yourself go by the wayside.
Right.
I know that there were times that you kind of looked and go, is this really worth it? Yeah, this
is.
is really worth
Yeah,
it.
it's definitely-
Right. I know when I was in the academy, I was an auxiliary police officer in Wilmington. And I was only there for like 6 months. And they certify you. You go to like a 6-week program down there. They certify you. They're given a gun, and it's just crazy. The training
Nowhere
is
near like what you
minimal
went through.
compared to the training here. I had a situation down there where I had pulled over a car, and everyone jumped out of the car and ran. And I thought to myself, I am so not prepared for this moment. So that is when, I came here, and I could not believe how great the academy. It was very challenging, don't get me wrong, but I learned so much and felt when I left and went through field training, I was prepared and knew exactly what I needed to do.
Absolutely.
And knowing like with Chesterfield, your backup is going to be there. That was a huge thing too, I have to say. Your beat officers, they were going to be there, and I never doubted that one moment.
So knowing what we know now, getting through the academy, finding your area in which your expertise is and where you want to work at. What about your family? What about the school system in Chesterfield, the community of Chesterfield, some of the activities in our community? Can you share that so we can give to our young people?
Sure. Like I said earlier, I have 3 kids. We have 10-year-old twins, boy-girl twins, and a 5-year-old. And
And a husband.
and my husband. Yes, he's awesome. So our son, just to be very transparent, because that's just who I am, and anybody who asks me, I will tell them. Our son, our 10-year-old son, he's autistic, and we have had tremendous support just with therapies around here, both speech and occupational therapy, stuff like that. I mean, there's all kinds of resources in Richmond, Charlottesville. He has a black belt in karate and taekwondo.
Oh, wow.
There's so many places for families. I know Jen's kids are so into softball and baseball. The schools are great. The school support is great. And our daughter was in Girl Scouts. I was a Girl Scout leader at one point in time. So yeah, we stay busy. But yeah, it's just with COVID, of course, stuff has slowed down a little bit. But
And of course, your spiritual journey.
yes. We at one point in time, I was a hospitality, leader in our church. But yes, very involved with our church. And yeah, we're busy. The family support is great.
Yes. Jen, you want to talk about your
I will say, my daughter just started high school here. She's in the specialty center at one of the high schools to go into the medical field. And then my son's at a middle school. I mean, they both do well. They love it. They have got great friends. They've all the activities at school, cross country and track and all that good stuff. And then, of course, they're both on travel teams, travel baseball and travel softball. So we stay busy, and trying to think of anything else. But yeah, it's a great community. The schools are great, and yeah, no complaints.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cindy?
Well, let's see. My husband is a homegrown. My husband, we've been married for 26 years. My husband is actually a native Chesterfield, Virginia. He graduated from Thomasdale High School, where we actually settled back in that community of the Enon Chester area. And both of my children graduated from Thomasdale High School. My daughter is a nurse. She's 24. My son is 18 and studying to be an electrician. And they actually both work in the same kind of area. My daughter just recently started working for the county. And then when she was going through her hiring process, they were taking notes about the fact that her family members were Chesterfield natives because they knew that there was a good chance that they have a long-term employee.
Right.
She's come and stayed. So both of them played sports. Both of them traveled sports. The opportunities just in your areas. I managed the swim team down in Rivers Bend for several years, and it's just the kids really respect. And when they find out that you're a law enforcement officer, oh my gosh, your mom!
Yes.
And even now, your mom's a police officer. Yep, it's not dad, it's mom. Yeah. So great community support.
Yeah. I would just say, just to end on our talking about our families, just you have to be purposeful with the work-life balance. You know, having children and being, in this career, and, always, maybe it is self-induced again, but always wanting to go above and beyond in your job and your career to have a very successful and your career blossom. You have to be focused on your personal life as well to really focus on your wellness, whether it's spiritual, physical. I love running. That's my, mom time. That's my alone time just to decompress. But we have to have a work-life balance to be able to do this job well.
Yes.
At some point in all of our careers, we were on call. And the phone would ring and you would leave. And that's the one thing. My family always knew they were first.
Yeah.
They knew when the phone rang and I had to go, that was temporary and it was okay to go. But they always knew that my family was first. And they know the balance of my personal family and my work family, because I won't say this is where I came to, and all of us did, and planted our roots. So not only are our fellow officers, they're our friends, they're our family, they're our extended family.
Right.
Wow, awesome. I knew it was going to be a good one. I
Absolutely.
knew this episode was going to be another good one. Anything else you want to add to as we close?
Daryl, I want to say that Jen and I went to the academy together.
He was so lucky to have me, wasn't he?
Yes.
And when she said she showed up and she didn't know, she was being truthful.
I believe
100%.
She was the best dressed recruit I had ever seen.
I believe
in my life.
it. I believe it.
I thought to
That's
myself,
saying a lot, Elliot. You are very best dressed.
Yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
thought
Oh, yeah.
this woman must be going to a Fortune 500 power lunch or something.
Nice.
And
And
I
at the
thought-
wrong location.
I'm like, she has no idea what's about to happen when we get out here to this flagpole and start these push-ups.
Running down the hallway in high heels, I was like, what did I sign up for?
Yes.
But look
And I
at
made
you now,
sure
Jen. Look
I
at
know
you
where
now.
I'm at.
Exactly. But ladies, I truly want to thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all a lot. And on behalf of the men in the department,
Yes.
we want to thank you all for making a space for women who are now coming into policing.
Yes.
Because of the work you did and what you endured and the groundwork that you laid, it has made it a lot easier with our policies, procedures, and our culture in our department to help other women and officers come in and have an equal playing ground.
And I know our citizens of the Chesterfield County just love what you all are doing for our community. And thank you, especially for your kids and where they are in there, and husbands. So we appreciate it on this episode of our podcast. In the box here, Elliot, I want to thank you.
Thank you, sir. And absolutely, for our listeners, if you're interested in applying to be a Chesterfield police officer, go to chesterfieldpd.com, get your application in, and be in one of our upcoming academies.
All right, thank you.